Hello from Shipshewana, Indiana. We decided to take a couple of days to come out to see our grandkids and check out our cottage to see how it survived this past winter. We're going to be back home though for Sunday's worship service, but I wanted to use today's sermon slider to get you ready for that sermon. So as part of our preparation for Sunday's sermon, I'd like to ask you to try and have your mind wander here for a few moments. Take a few moments and think of 2 or 3 memorable meals that you have enjoyed. You can close your eyes if it helps, but think of a couple of memorable meals that you've had. What comes to your mind? Maybe it was an anniversary dinner at a 4-star restaurant, or a Thanksgiving dinner with a long table just loaded with food. Maybe a picnic on a warm summer afternoon with baskets full of every kind of picnic delight. Now at this point in time, I'm willing to take a risk and say that none of your memorable meals were eaten alone. And if you think a little bit more, part of the delight of each meal that came to your mind was likely due to the company that you enjoyed as you were eating that meal. That's the nature of eating. It's done best when it's done with other people. When we come out here to Shipshewana, many of our meals are eaten with our friends and our neighbors, Ken and Nancy. We eat and we drink and we laugh and we talk and we pray together. And as I reflected on those times, it reminded me of a book by Leon Cass. The title of the book was The Hungry Soul. And in that book, he mentions that a little basic Latin can give us a clue as to what should be at the heart of our meals together. He tells us that our English word company comes from the Latin term cum panis, which literally means loaf of bread. You know, there are still cultures around the world today that having company in one's home without bread would be unthinkable. But it's difficult for us to think that way because we live in a fast food culture. It's difficult to grasp the significance of a meal as it relates to building community with others. Think about it. How often do we go to a fast food drive-thru to get a meal that we can eat on the run or eat in our cars or alone at our work desk, all the while multitasking our way through life? Now, I think if you were to talk to a single person, whether male or female, they would likely tell you that one of the most difficult things about being single is eating alone. It seems that there's something about the very nature of food that says bread should naturally be cum panis, with company. I've got a book in my library. I think my brother gave it to me. It's called The Dictionary of Biblical Imagery. And in that book, we find that bread was a staple of the biblical diet. It's referred to in several Old Testament passages as the staff of bread, implying that bread gives us strength while we walk. Bread is also seen as a gift of hospitality as well. In Mark chapter 6, verse 8, Jesus, as he sends his disciples out as missionaries, tells them not to take bread with them. Why? Well, the presumption is that bread will be happily supplied to them by those who accept their message. In what we know as the Lord's Prayer, Jesus encourages us to ask God to give us this day our daily bread, perhaps a reference back to the manna that God provided Israel during their wilderness wanderings. And of course, the most striking, I think, metaphorical use of bread appears in the 6th chapter of John's Gospel. Let me read for you John 6, verses 32 through 35. Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, it is not Moses who has given you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is the bread that comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." "Sir," they said, "always give us this bread." And Jesus declared, "I am the bread of life, and whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." This Sunday, then, we're going to be talking about this new community that Jesus was creating as he ate a meal and broke bread with his disciples one last time. Well, I've got to go. We're having supper with our neighbors tonight, and I'm bringing the bread. So have a great week, and I hope to see you on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock.